Al Jazeera podcast.
Maram Humaid, an Al Jazeera journalist in Gaza, lost her home in an Israeli airstrike on Saturday.
Israel launched another airstrike on Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has asked Gazans who are under Israel's land, air and sea blockade to, quote, leave the territory now.
She lived in an apartment building in Gaza with her husband, her 8-year-old daughter, and her infant son.
Actually, I was expecting that one day this place would be bombed.
When Hamas broke through Israel's fence, everything changed.
We are standing in all that's left of an Israeli police station that was overrun by Hamas gunmen. There was a 20-hour gun battle here, and all morning we have seen as bodies have been pulled out of the rubble.
She knew the Israeli military would retaliate quickly.
But I didn't expect that they would target or bomb the place from the first night.
Later that day, her fears came true. Israeli airstrikes hit her home.
So from early morning hours, I decided with my husband to leave the home.
As Israel's assault on Gaza ramps up and the death toll rises, we hear from Maram about what it's like to be in the Gaza Strip right now. I'm Malika Bilal, and this is The Take. It wasn't easy to get a hold of Maram. The internet connection is up and down, and airstrikes continue, but we had a few moments of clear signal to chat with her on Monday. She was at her parents' house in northern Gaza after her house was hit in those first Israeli airstrikes. So, Maram Humaid, we want to thank you for finding the time to speak with us today. We know that you're going through a really difficult time right now. Tell our listeners, what's your connection with Gaza?
Gaza is my heart. It's the place where I born, I raised up. This is the place where my people exist, and my family, my future. And it's beyond only a homeland. It's an issue, and it's a presence for myself and for the young generation in the Gaza Strip. People here deserves to live a better lives.
So, Maram, you have been sending us voice notes since Saturday's Hamas incursion into Israel. And in one of them, you said that you were expecting your home to be bombed one day. I don't think many listeners can imagine what that must feel like, to have an almost certainty that the place you live will one day just no longer exist. And then sadly for you, that came true in an Israeli airstrike later on Saturday. First of all, I am so sorry. And on behalf of the Take team, we send our condolences. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, alhamdulillah. Actually, I bought my apartment a year and a half ago, and it's located in a beautiful place in the central area of the Gaza city. It has a good overlooking. It's a calm area, and it was very nice. And we didn't finish the installments. Actually, we are still paying.
Oh.
But we used that. We used to see Israeli airplanes targeting several areas in the Gaza Strip and several locations, ministries, and other places that led by Hamas. We in the Gaza Strip, we live under the control of Hamas. This is the authority here. It's about how life is, how the life goes here. So I discovered that we live in front of the Hamas bureau. Okay, so if you can hear, the attacks are just very violent.
What are you hearing?
Yeah.
Let's pause there. What are you hearing?
The sound of bombings.
Does it rattle the windows? What does it feel like when that happens?
Uh, I cannot describe. They are just very loud, and you cannot get used with them. The home is totally shaking, and the heart beats like quickly and quickly. Just they are just beyond imagination. Actually, very loud.
On some of the voice memos Maram sent us over the course of the weekend, she talks about the airstrikes landing as she tries to do her job.
Actually, as I left the office, after this evening, there was warning to a near building, which is the Palestine Tower. It was leveled down to the ground, and like many families were displaced of their homes.
And as she's telling that story, there's another strike.
Moments like you are just putting and as you can hear, the home now is shaking, and the explosions, the bombings are everywhere.
And Maram could hear them during our interview, too. She's constantly trying to discern where the next strike might hit.
I was just following the news, and I saw that they warned the Islamic University, central the Gaza area, to be bombed, and the people there are evacuating. So I'm expecting that this bomb was near the Islamic University.
And they being the Israeli military?
Yeah, in general, Israeli military call someone located the area, someone lives in the area, and tell him that you need to evacuate your place and you need to inform your neighbors and the people around you. So he takes that responsibility to tell all the people living in the neighborhood, including, the place that would be bombed. And they usually, or they often give a time. Sometimes it's less than 5 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2 hours to let the people evacuate.
So that brings us back to the story you were telling. Did you have warning that your apartment building was going to be bombed?
Yeah, let us continue the story. Actually, this I discovered after I bought the apartment. I discovered that we are living near a Hamas location. My bedroom was overlooking the bureau. It's not a military site. It's just, a bureau with offices. And, I know that this could be a target one day. You are talking about the Gaza Strip, which is a densely populated area. It's full of people everywhere. There are no spaces between buildings. So when they target any place, the whole neighborhood.
At this moment, we start to lose Maram as the internet connection weakens.
Would be
Maram, if you can hear me, I'm going to pause you there because I'm reminded that the internet connection is not the best given the circumstances, and we may lose it. I don't know if you can hear me. You might be frozen. I might be frozen. After the break, Maram returns. So, Maram, you were saying it's densely populated. I think we got the gist of that, but I want to move on now to where you are and if you're safe, because Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has declared war on Gaza.
The Israeli Defense Forces will immediately use all its strength to destroy Hamas's capabilities. We will destroy them and take mighty vengeance for this black day that they have forced on the state of Israel and its citizens.
And you, your husband, and your 2 kids now do not have the home that you were living in. You're staying with your parents in Gaza now, right? How safe is that? And are you prepared for what could be a very long war?
Yeah, actually, since the first day of the attack, when we woke up, hearing the sounds of rockets fired from the Gaza Strip, I was very surprised actually that we who began this attack. And then from the general atmosphere, I realized that this is Hamas. So I'm expecting that Israeli warplanes will respond back against Hamas. So I took the initiative and from the beginning and packed my luggage. And my family also is not safe again, I'm saying. But we just, tried to jump from an area to another, to a safer to another. But it's about shifting the places. I'm not sure if you're hearing these sounds, but
No, I can't. What happens for your kids when they hear those sounds? Because you have young kids, if I remember correctly.
Actually, I feel so sorry about my 2 months kid. He's just shaking every day out of these sounds. He wakes up crying and in the middle of the night, and every now and then when he hears something, he shakes, he trembles, and he's just crying.
Just days before the airstrike hit her home, Maram's family was celebrating a wedding. Her brother had just gotten married.
It was a total shift for us as a family who were just one day, we were celebrating, we were dancing, we were wearing the best clothes, and we were having like the best party and special days of our family. And then just one day after, everything turned upside down. I could think.
But before she could finish the story, the airstrike started again. She tried to keep going.
My place was one of the first targets that had been targeted in Gaza.
Oh. I'm so sorry. Do you still feel safe to continue this interview? Because of course this is not the priority.
Yeah, but no, we need to continue actually. So
that was an airstrike?
Yeah, a violent airstrike. A violent airstrike.
I'm sorry, Maram.
No problem. No problem. So, what we were saying.
Maram told us she feels lucky in comparison to neighbors who have lost even more than she has.
So sometimes I labeled myself as, okay, I'm lucky as this guy. I'm luckier than this guy, because comparing to other places, comparing to the people who fully lost their houses and have their homes fully destroyed, you feel okay. Alhamdulillah, like I thanks God.
So you were born and raised in a refugee camp in Gaza. Your family is originally from Ashdod, about 50 kilometers north, and you told us that story in a previous episode of The Take. They lost their home in 1948 there when Israel was created. So as a refugee, what did it feel like to see Palestinians break the blockade on Saturday?
For me, I will be very frank about this point. This is the first time to feel that this is the just, or today, that day I felt that this is the just solution for us. And I felt that we are not victims anymore for the first time. And we were breaking the siege and the blockade with our own hands. No one else helped us in doing this. We waited for 17 years, blockaded and trapped in misery under the poverty, with the endless problems and sufferings inside the Gaza Strip. And this was the first time to see us leaving everything behind us, leaving the international opinion behind our backs, and going into these territories and breaking the siege and the fence that we are subjected under its restrictions since ages. So when I saw those fighters and those people resisting, the first idea came to us that this is our right. This is our right to resist the occupation and to...
And that was it. We lost the internet connection with Maram for the last time. We did get her on her cell phone briefly.
Some bad updates.
She told us more Israeli strikes hit the telecommunications company in Gaza, causing the internet to drop. She and her family are safe for now. And that's The Take. This episode was produced by Sarí el-Khalili with Sonia Bhagat, Khalid Sultan, David Enders, Amy Walters, Chloe K. Lee, Miranda Lynn, Ashish Malhotra, Berenice Campana, Zaina Bazar, and me, Malika Bilal. Our sound designer is Alex Roldan. Alexandra Locke is The Take's executive producer, and Nate Alvarez is Al Jazeera's head of audio. We'll be back.